Listen.
Hello and welcome to NVC, IGN's Nintendo podcast. I'm your host, Casey DeFreitas, and today we will be talking about some unfortunate cancellations due to the COVID-19 virus, Mario Day, and Reggie joining GameStop's board of directors. Today I am joined by Big Mareep, the IGN sheep.
Big Mareep has arrived.
She's here. We did it. We'll talk about that too. I'm also here with Zach Ryan.
Greetings
and Brian
salutations.
Altano.
I also feel like a $500 sheep today.
$500 sheep. Yeah, if you guys don't remember, I tried to peer pressure Pear into purchasing us a $500 Pokemon stuffed animal, and he said no. But we could peer pressure him into giving us $20 for it, which Janet and I also did to 25 other people in the office, including Zach Ryan.
Yeah, we really rallied around this one. We came together, we all pitched in our $20 bills, and we got that big sheep here, just like we needed and wanted.
Yeah, you guys went with the GoFundMe Kickstarter approach.
We did.
Yeah.
Which is
it's a
timeshare.
It's a grassroots sort of movement.
It is a timeshare sheep.
It's a grass type sort of movement.
I forgot to chip in money. I would have, but
I would have chipped in money, but I don't care about Pokemon.
Yeah, that too. But I was specifically I want to support you guys so you get this thing, but I also don't want it anywhere near me. But now I have to host a show with it. So, Hey, Mareep.
At least today. But hey, we're going to have an entire video on the story of Big Mareep and everything you need to know about her in a separate video.
We?
So yeah, we are. We shot that. Okay. Remember that group photo we did? That is in the video.
Great.
Tayo did a great job producing that as well, who's also our NVC producer. I'm excited to put that video up. This is a sneak peek.
Was that all the people that chipped in for the sheep?
It wasn't. We couldn't get all 26 of us together in the same room at the same time.
It's hard to get 4 people together in the same room at the same time.
Was there anyone in that photo that didn't chip in for the sheep?
No.
Yeah. John Davison.
Oh, John, you're right.
Because I almost snuck into the back of it, not thinking. I was like, there's a picture. I'll get in the picture. Yeah. And then I realized it's sort of like when you go to the picture day for like a yearbook thing.
Yeah.
But then you don't actually go to that club for the rest of the year.
My junior year of high school, my buddy and I did how many club photos could we crash? So we were in like a bunch of different club photos that year in the yearbook.
I did that with the French club, and then I showed up for like the brunch on the last day, and I was like, ooh, Nutella. And they were like, you're not in this club. And I was like, I'm in the photo, you crazies.
Oh, man.
Take a look.
Brian, you guys are sneaky sneaks.
Yeah, we're troublemakers.
Yeah, that's right.
It's okay.
That's why we work here now. Instead of the real jobs.
So on to less happy news than giant Pokemon. NVC 500, the live audience portion of NVC 500 is unfortunately canceled due to COVID-19 concerns. We actually just learned of a COVID-19 case just a few blocks from our office, and we don't feel comfortable encouraging people to travel at this time to come to our event. So, yeah.
It's a bummer. Like,
sorry.
It's an unfortunate side effect of this, officially a pandemic now. But honestly, it's a safety first move. And Pear talked it over with all of us, and he was disappointed as well. But it's just not something that is advisable or really feasible at this time to have 150 people come to our office and shake hands and give hugs and talk about Nintendo. So instead, we're going to be doing a live stream. Same sort of content that we would have had planned for the live show. I think the only real exception is that, we won't be able to meet and greet, and we won't be able to trade hot fruits on Animal Crossing Day.
But
hot fruit?
Yeah, you guys ever eat hot fruit? You ever just
like in a pie?
You ever just pop like a
like
nice
an applesauce?
You ever just pop like a nice melon in the microwave and just see how that tastes?
You know what? Like, baked apples are actually pretty good.
That's true.
Yeah,
that is a hot fruit.
Think about a cobbler.
I
you know what I'm talking about?
Try to have 3 or 4 warm bananas before bed every day.
Anyway,
so
that live stream.
I will add real quick that although this news is devastating, if you're listening at home, you can sort of lessen the impact a little bit by watching the video where Casey is explaining this while sitting next to a giant sheep who's just dead on staring at the camera the entire time.
Make things happier.
Yeah.
There we go. See, I can hear any news
give her
with
pats
that.
and everything's fine.
We've got a lot of surprises in store. We've got some really cool different kind of panels and topics that we're planning out. So I think it'll still be worthwhile for Nintendo NVC fans to tune in and see what we've got cooking, because I'm really proud of the way that the show is coming together. I'm disappointed that we don't get to get up there in front of our audience and kind of ham it up that way, but I think it's still going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to have it set up like if anybody's tuning into our new show, IGN Plus, where we're interacting with chat and things like that. So I think it's potential to be pretty cool still.
Yeah, so it will benefit you to watch live because then you can still interact with the chat and ask us questions and talk with us, and we will try to be interacting with that as much as possible. It will be 1:30 to 4 p.m. Pacific time on March 20th, which is Animal Crossing Day, and we're still planning on doing our giveaways that we had planned during the actual show as well for those who were able to get tickets. So yeah, look out for that. We're also still having a special 500 shirt.
Yeah.
That's being revealed soon, and I'm very excited for that to go up as well.
The hot fruit buffet will be canceled, though.
Yeah,
the
no hot,
company
no.
was not able to help.
I'm sad we won't be getting pizza and cake that day. I was looking forward to my free pizza and cake.
Well, I mean, the orders are already out, so we still might get that pizza.
Oh,
and
man.
cake. What if
Really?
we just have like pizza for 150 people just show up at the
I mean, I'll
office?
take home
boy,
free
I'm
pizzas.
getting fat again.
Yeah. Let's do
It's
it.
my favorite kind of problem.
But we are still planning on doing a live NVC event sometime this year when the environment is safer and we know more of what's going on and things aren't so up in the air.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that. We'll figure it out and let you know as soon as we know. Again, I'm sorry, but thank you for your support, and we really hope you still tune into the live stream. We would very, very much appreciate it.
Yeah. Come on out. and party with
Microwave
us.
some melon at home and snuggle up with us.
Yeah, just pretend you're here.
Do. As it's known.
So in other news for events that were canceled, maybe not quite as important as NVC 500 Live, but E3 was also canceled as of last night.
Such a bummer. This
I'm
morning
so-
we got the official word.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is like such a major bummer for the industry and for the fans and everybody involved. You know, like I think that there was a time a couple of weeks ago where all of us were you know, when the ESA issued that statement that they were still going ahead full steam.
Yeah, that was
and
just last week. I thought everything
was that last
It was
week?
last week.
I thought that was like 2 weeks ago, but you know, I think that we were sort of in a bubble of thinking that like, okay, we should be able to get a lockdown on this situation and you know, E3 will still, you know, be the thing that we know and love. But this morning they announced that it is in fact canceled, which the more I thought about it, the more it makes sense because the amount of money, the amount of pre-production and planning that goes into that, like you can't call quits on it in May. Like it would be completely financially irresponsible on their end to put the kibosh on it that late in the game. So like I think in terms of that planning and preparation, now is the time. Like even if somehow by, you know, mid-April we found some kind of cure to this virus or know how to contain it a little bit better, it would just be completely irresponsible for them to not cancel it now.
Right.
So,
There is a chance that it could be canceled, as Zach, you're saying. Canceling it the week before would suck for everyone.
That's what happened.
So much more.
That's what happened with South by
GDC.
Southwest.
Yeah.
And GDC, where it was like people were, you know, already gearing up to come out to San Francisco to head to Austin for South by, and then they were saying, like, "Yep, yeah, actually, it's canceled." So a week is just not enough time.
There have been conferences in other industries that were canceled 12 hours before.
Yeah, what was that conference? I was trying to remember. I heard it on a podcast too, where they were talking about it.
A physics or teaching.
some sort of academic conference.
Yeah.
New York City literally just canceled this sounds like a joke, but it's real. They canceled a coronavirus conference today because of coronavirus.
Wow.
That's a little on the nose. Isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, right? Well, you shouldn't put anything on the nose anymore.
That's what they say.
No.
The thing about this that's like, I think it's bittersweet for a lot of people. I think there's a small pocket of people who are like, good, E3 needed to go away anyway, or we'll still get our news. I can't stress this enough, but E3 is so much more than just press conferences.
Right.
It's so much more than just news. So is GDC, so is PAX.
Our friend Greg Miller was tweeting about this just this morning. Like, you know, what you're saying is like so much more happens at E3 than just the press conferences. It's hands-on impressions. It's indie developers talking with major publishers. It's so many of these things that go on behind the scenes that just are gone now.
Yeah, it's small games securing a publisher for the first time. It's contractors. It's hotel people. It's restaurants. It's it's vendors. It's everything. And whether or not you like E3 or hate E3, E3 is not the story here. E3 is endemic of a bigger picture here. This is happening to sporting events, late night shows, every single thing that involves a gathering of a certain amount of people.
My band is playing a show next week, and we were talking about it at rehearsal, but it was like San Francisco has issued a statement like any public gathering of more than 50 people is ill-advised and should consider being canceled. So we're kind of just waiting to hear from the promoter, because I assume that it'll get the 86 too.
Yeah. My fiance teaches art classes for a living, and all of his classes this week were canceled.
God.
So it's a hard time.
And apologies, sorry I kicked that out of there. And apologies to folks. I know that we're however many minutes into the show and haven't really hit Nintendo stuff, but this is something that I think, especially just coming off of the news this morning, has just really affected all of us, and it's still something that we're kind of processing. So forgive us as we kind of work this out live on the air. But it's a huge deal for us, both business-wise and personally, because E3 is an opportunity to see the people that you know and love in the industry that you don't really get a chance to see all the time. So it's a bummer for sure.
Yeah, I always describe E3 as the time where you get to meet video game developers and hear their stories when they're at their sort of most passionate. Yeah. They've been head down, hunkered down in a studio for years and years working on something. They reveal it to the public on like a Monday or a Tuesday morning or a Sunday evening, and then they come out and they get on camera and they do shows and interviews and press, and they get to talk about this thing that they're so deeply passionate about and been working so hard with so many people. And I want that to continue. I think it will continue. So I think a lot of those things are going to happen from a Nintendo perspective. Obviously, we'll still get directs and stuff like that. But Nintendo's booths at E3 were historically some of the most magical places on
I was
Earth.
so excited to see what it would be.
Yeah.
And now we don't. I hope they at least release maybe some like concept art or just like this is
floor
what
plan
it
or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Last year they had basically an entire stadium centered around Pokemon. They had those dioramas based on Link's Awakening. The year before, or last year they had
Luigi's Mansion.
And Luigi's Mansion too. Yeah.
That awesome it was like a Disney style haunted mansion. It was amazing.
I mean, there was a year where they decked out the entire thing around Breath of the Wild, and it was almost like a ride, like going through different sections of it. And I'm gonna really miss that, because I think that's like a really important thing. It's also it's where Nintendo connects with indies and smaller devs, and that has been such a huge part of the Switch's success story.
Right.
Is helping to tell those smaller stories too, and connecting those with a larger audience, putting those on the eShop next to the big ones like Mario and Zelda. And I really hope that all of those things can continue to happen. But this will have ripple effects all across our industry and others for years to come.
Let's talk about what we can expect from Nintendo. Obviously, I think we're still going to get a big non-E3 press conference. I think that regardless of if it's Nintendo, Microsoft, Ubisoft, whoever, there's still a media beat that they've planned out in their PR roadmap, and so they're gonna hit that. Nintendo's gonna have some sort of conference, some sort of direct that will happen, some sort of big reveals. I think that maybe it means we're looking at more demos coming to the eShop. Hopefully,
ESA
really
also
cool.
said that they may coordinate an online experience. So I would still, as you said, Zach, expect some form of press conferences, maybe a Nintendo Direct. But I've also heard rumors of a Nintendo Direct supposed to happen this month, but we expected a Nindies Direct over the week of GDC.
There's a lot of Direct rumors flying around because it's been so long since we've had one, and then also after the Mario Lego mashup that was announced this week. There's a press release that went around that said revealed in the latest Nintendo Direct, and then that was reissued almost immediately and said revealed by Nintendo on Twitter this week. Yeah. So people were like, oh, there was supposed to be a Direct, that's supposed to be
To piggyback off the demos thing we were talking about for a second, I was thinking about this morning. What the sort of cancellation of E3 means for you at home could be sort of good news, because Nintendo has a precedent for the last 3 or 4 years during E3 taking a bunch of the demos that were once exclusive to the show floor and releasing them to Best Buy and other sort of store kiosks. And they have a sort of pipeline for that with your Switch at home, which I think could circumvent that even more. I think it would be really awesome if they found out a way to take all of their show floor demos and get them to your Switch at home. Whether that means it's something that stays on there permanently. If you look at the way they handled demos on the 3DS, where they had a limited play time or something like that. Maybe it'll be something where you can log in and play it for 24 hours before it goes away, or it's something you get to keep permanently. I'm not sure. Or they'll upload like expert Let's Plays from their devs internally. I think there's an opportunity here to connect with people from home on a bigger scale than they ever could just putting a couple demos at a Best Buy. So there's silver linings in all of this. You know, the big show obviously going away is devastating for a lot of people, but I do think that people will be quick on their feet to sort of figure out how to get those games to you at home.
Hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so too.
Yeah, the biggest impact is definitely indies and indie developers and contractors. And I mean, there's so many more people who are expecting to have work through E3 as well, and they don't have that as well.
Yeah, somebody tweeted at me this morning saying that the South by Southwest canceling cost the city of Austin $360 million. So these things cut deep, you know. It's hotels, it's restaurants, coffee shops, it's everything, all of the stuff that these things that bring into. Gamescom just the other day tweeted like, oh, it's, you know, we're still planning business as usual. Gamescom is like roughly 5 to 6 times bigger than E3 international.
And it has the advantage of being 2.5 months after. So.
So I mean, we'll see. We're all playing this by ear right now.
See what happens.
I will say we're still figuring out internally what will happen here, but I mean, I think we still plan to put on some kind of show for people.
Hopefully,
I can't see us not figuring out a way to connect those dots and help tell those stories from developers.
Right.
So
even if we just do it in the studios here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we were doing Beyond yesterday, and we Skyped in Mitchell Salzman from LA to tell us about his Neo 2 review. Totally feasible thing to do on like a Tuesday morning. I think it's something we're capable of here.
To quote the great literary work, the Ghostbusters film 1, we've got the tools, we've got the talent.
That's right.
Yeah. So.
The Ghostbusters film 1.
Perfect. So on to a little bit happier news. I don't even know if I can consider this news. It's just a thing that happens every year that we expect all the time because March 10th inevitably always happens.
Yeah.
And when you abbreviate March to Mar and then you add the 10, it kind of looks like Mario. So March 10th is Mario Day.
This is one of my favorite marketing stretches every year. It's like, oh, Mark 10. Yeah. All right, here we go.
Mario. So we got 2 reveals this week for Mario Day. And the first one is Levi revealed a Mario denim collection, and it's coming out on April 1st. I don't know if that look is positive or horrified Zach, but it is definitely something full of emotion.
It's coming out on April 1st, and I hope to God it's an April Fool's joke because those clothes are fugly. They look butt.
I will say I love Levi's. So do you, right?
Yeah, obviously.
I'm literally wearing.
I said it yesterday on IGN Plus, but like I'm like this close to being a corporate Levi's shill because seriously 75% of my clothes are Levi's. Like
all of my favorite jeans are Levi's.
Yeah, I'm wearing Levi jeans right now. I have a bunch of jean jackets from them. I think that one of the things they do really well is like simplicity. Simplicity. This is my typo of the week. They have a very sort of like subdued kind of like, you know, basic rustic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I will say that they've collaborated with some of my favorite brands on Earth recently, and the results have been a bit loud.
Yeah.
They did a Star Wars line recently that was just like, whoa, that's a lot. And then now the Mario stuff is just like just hyper crazy all over prints.
So the simplest pieces from this line is a jean jacket with a Super Mario patch on the back and different patches of like Bowser and Bullet Bill and
jean
Boo.
jacket looks like
straight from the 90s.
It looks like when you were in high school and you went to Hot Topic and you just bought like a bunch of patches and just like ironed them on in like random places because it's just like here's a coin and there's a shell and
but even
mushroom and like
even that imbued like some sense of personal responsibility or sort of like creativity.
You did that
because you did that. This is buying like pre-ripped jeans, basically.
Yeah.
And then the overalls, which I'm glad they're doing, because like that's you can't not do that for Mario.
They look insane.
But they're also men's overalls. And men, I don't think I remember the last time I've seen a man wearing overalls.
Actually, Brian and I wore overalls semi-recently when we dressed as Mario and Waluigi on the same Halloween.
No way. Yeah. So they're cosplay overalls.
We did. I think we both figured out that A, those overalls were incredibly stinky.
Yeah,
and
that's
B,
true. They also really climbed up the butt.
Yeah, goes right up the butt, and it's also very difficult to pee in those things. So my heart.
Think of all those women wearing rompers out there.
Yeah, rompers to the people out there, construction who have to wear overalls, put the big hammer and such in the pockets. Good on you for figuring out how to be in those things.
You know what I learned recently about construction workers?
What
did you learn?
Hot fruit. Love hot fruit.
They do.
Yeah.
The best afternoon in the sun, been in your lunchbox all day, hot fruit.
Yeah. Real hot, bunch of hot grape.
Tasty.
Yeah, that's actually why Donkey Kong climbed to the top of that
I will
construction site
say,
to begin with.
For those hot bananas.
Janet,
some of those roof bananas.
Janet, our very own Janet Garcia, said that she would be purchasing the shorts because she was like, I mean, whatever, we're all gonna die anyway. I'm gonna wear these loud ass shorts and just like go for it. So I applaud that.
I should caveat this that Zach and I feel this way specifically because we're old.
Yeah.
Like if you're 22, you're probably looking at this and be like, "That's great. I love to wear loud all color prints."
Old man yells at Janet.
and the shorts are like mid to high rise patterned Mario, like tight women's shorts.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're booty shorts.
yeah. They probably look good on a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to try them,
I
but
certainly will not be wearing those.
I
myself.
want to see Zach and Brian in those booty shorts.
That is-
That's
put that in your mind
a
right now.
request. All right.
I'm going to HR.
Don't do it. I'm sorry. They would look absolutely ridiculous. So it's okay.
That said, we only saw a couple of pieces in this line.
so maybe
I
there's
do
more.
hope that there's a couple of things that are a little more subdued. They also usually do T-shirts with these things. With the Star Wars ones, they were okay. It was like high-res photos of like the original vintage 1970s action figures, but with a huge Levi's logo underneath. And I was like, but maybe we'll get something. Who knows?
It's just crazy to me to compare this line, this collaboration with like the H&M line from a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Because like that was so much more tasteful and so much more well done. I feel like it was
Uniqlo
And
also.
yeah, all the things that
that's
Uniqlo
what I was
does.
thinking.
Yeah.
Uniqlo, not H&M.
No, I was in Tokyo right as the Uniqlo line launched. That's a tough sentence. And
Uniqlo line.
it was a huge hit there.
Yeah,
And it was like
sure. It was a huge hit here too.
Yeah, it was awesome. It's just like everywhere you looked, you saw people wearing like it was like very subtle. It was just like a white T-shirt with a pocket that had Mario
popping out.
Yeah,
Like
stuff like that's really cool.
three coins right here or something. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Only. So we also got teas of Lego Mario.
Yeah,
This
this
is-
is super cool.
This is the stuff I'm happy
So
about.
I have a question though. So it was just a teaser video on Twitter that says it's a me, Lego Mario, and they show Lego Mario. And so is this a Super Mario Lego collaborating on a Lego video game,
Right.
or
So
are we getting a Lego collection?
That's the
based
big
on
question.
Mario?
Yeah.
Is like, does that mean that is it Lego sets in the Nintendo theme, or is it a Lego game featuring Nintendo characters, or is it a
Or-
Nintendo game that is based on Legos? Like,
Or all
Or
of
is it
those
everything?
things. Yeah.
I don't know.
The image that they used specifically in the video was really interesting because it didn't look like your typical minifig.
no, he's got like a screen in the middle of his chest. Yeah.
He had this sort of like digital readout thing on his chest with a question block on it. So I don't know if that's going to play into it. I do wonder. So Nintendo has partnered with Kinect for a very long time, which to me was always like kind of a swing and a miss.
They did Mario Kart, didn't they?
Yeah, they did Mario Kart. There's entire like Mario Kart levels that you can buy and build. They do blind bags of Kinect versions of minifigs of like the iconic Mario characters and Toad and all those guys. So it was always weird that they weren't just like, here's Lego Mario. Like that felt like the perfect fit because we got a Lego Sonic through Lego Dimensions before we got a Lego Mario, which felt insane.
It's weird.
But they some of the pricing we saw on some of the SKUs on this ranged from $3.99 to $99.99, which to me says
Full
that
sets and
yeah.
minifigs.
So we'll get minifigs, maybe in blind bags, same deal. And then the $99.99 set, I have a feeling could be something like Peach's Castle with like 6 figures. If you look at the way Lego did the Disney World Castle or Disneyland Castle, which just had like a whole bunch of minifigs in it, like Donald and Daisy and all that. I think there's an opportunity for that here. I really also hope they build just full on Lego, like 2D Mario level sets.
Yeah.
Nintendo's also partnered with Jack Specific for their like figurines and action figure line. You've probably seen them in like Toys R Us and Target over the last few years. Not Toys R Us, rest in peace. And one of the things they did really well is they made an entire set of basically new Super Mario Brothers inspired 2D levels that are play sets that have like little warp pipes and action figures and Bowser at the end. They did the same thing for Wind Waker, which is really cool with like a series of sort of like interconnected sets.
I have that.
Yeah.
Some of those little Wind Waker figures are great.
Yeah, so doing that with a Lego set where you could build like basically Mario Maker style, build out your own 2D levels would kick so much butt.
That would be
I also
really cool.
I also would love a game in the vein of Lego Dimensions. Like Lego Dimensions is such an underrated game because it allows you to swap those minifigs in and out on the fly. Like you could have the Ecto 1 with Sonic driving set in Back to the Future. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like it was a crazy sort of mashup thing. And like, I love that idea. Like if we could take what Mario Maker 2 is doing with like the Zelda expansion and expound on that to like the entire Nintendo oeuvre, like I'm super into that idea.
Or take like a Lego Star Wars, Lego Jurassic Park. I don't know what you call that series, but like take that approach, but with the Mushroom Kingdom characters.
Sure.
I 100%ed Lego Jurassic World. I don't know what was going on in my life.
Why?
I was really into it, and I kept playing, and I was like, oh, I'm close to 100. I'll do it. The problem with that universe is that the roster of characters you care about collapses very quickly.
Yeah, there's Blue.
Yeah.
And then
and Dennis Nedry. Like Jimmy Fallon was unlockable in that game because he played a voice of like Mr. DNA in like the sequel in Jurassic World.
Okay.
So that's how quickly they ran out of characters. Nintendo doesn't have that problem.
Yeah, no.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I think of like a co-op split screen brawler that you could play as the Mario Brothers and Waluigi and all them. That has like 100 different characters you can unlock from the Mushroom Kingdom, and maybe even Smash Brothers style open it up to other characters from Nintendo.
It's funny that you said that because like a lot of the conversation on social yesterday on Twitter around this news was like, oh, let's do a Lego Smash, like a Lego Smash Brothers series,
or the Lego of Zelda.
Yeah, I mean
that's such a
that was the first.
I know.
Like we dropped this news into our Nintendo channel, and Brian and I immediately both were like,
Zelda.
"What about a Zelda Lego set?" Like, yeah.
So yeah, we will be getting something Lego and Super Mario related soon.
I think the bottom line, either way, whatever we're getting, I think it's pretty clear that we're going to spend a lot of money on this.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, this is like, to look big picture here, this is part of Nintendo's big push over the last few years and the next few years to take this iconic character and move him to an audience outside of just games. I think that like in the 80s and 90s, they did and even 2000s, they did a pretty poor job of merchandising these characters.
And now they're making up for lost time.
Yeah, totally. And so with that and theme parks and potential movies, like we're looking at some really big picture stuff to introduce Mario and sort of, solidify him for bigger and bigger generations.
I've said it before on the show, but I feel like Nintendo's philosophy around their characters and licensing was very much like, absolutely not. Like, we are Nintendo. This is a wall. This is a fortress around our IP. And now all of a sudden, it's like somebody just flipped the switch and they're like, no, you can put it on jackets. You can put it in Legos. You can do whatever you want with it now. Like, it's a great time to be a Nintendo fan if you have a lot of money and want to buy a bunch of merch. Like,
and
Brian,
we'll get to relive the nostalgia.
I'll see your desk.
We'll get to relive the nostalgia of stepping on a Lego and then looking down and it being Bowser and then being mad at him.
That would
for
be the
another
worst
reason.
Lego to step on.
That's a very
spiky.
Already spiky Lego. But also, speaking of spending money, until March 14th, you're going to get $20 off Super Mario Maker 2, Super Mario Party, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, Tokyo 2020, and Yoshi's Crafted World. These deals are available on eShop and other retail stores like Amazon, GameStop, Target.
I have a question.
Yes.
What's missing from that list?
Mario Odyssey.
Yeah. Why isn't Mario Odyssey on this list?
Because you got to pay full price for the premium product.
That sucks so much. That's like one of the best games on the Switch.
All right, we're canceling Mario Day. We're done.
What? Yeah, that is the Mario game on Switch.
Yeah,
it is. And like Yoshi's Crafted World, like the Mario's not it.
Yeah,
is Mario's not in that game?
No, you get to like, I think you can like get his skin or whatever. You know what I mean?
That doesn't. Okay, you can
Help
also get
20%
off Mario merch on the Nintendo Online Store, but you have to redeem that offer with 450 platinum points. So that's it for Mario Day. You got some deals. You got some new things.
One more Mario Day note. In honor of Mario Day, I played the original New Super Mario Brothers on my Nintendo Third Dimension S for a little while, and that. I'm not a huge fan of the whole series, but that first game is still like a top tier Mario.
Oh, yeah.
That game rules.
The DS one?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. No, I love that game.
I played through like the first 3 worlds last night and was like, this is great.
You think you were maybe reminiscing a bit off of last week's discussion on the 3DS?
I think so, yeah.
It's good. So now on to some news. I think one of the bigger it's not a huge topic, but Reggie Fils-Aimé was joined GameStop board of directors, and he's brought on to help guide GameStop.
He's coming in here. He's going to guide GameStop.
Guide GameStop back to profitability. He said on Twitter, the gaming industry needs a healthy and vibrant GameStop. I look forward to being a part of GameStop Corp board and helping to make this happen. GameStop hasn't been doing too great recently.
This is such a weird move for me. To me, this seems like such a weird move on his part, because it's like, why jump on a sinking ship? Like, I don't understand.
He's bored and wants to make a difference. I mean, being on the board of directors doesn't necessarily mean it's a full-time job. It could just be like
it's like an advisory role.
Yes, exactly. That are called in occasionally to look at the big picture of GameStop's plans.
Mm-hmm. I mean, to be fair, when Reggie joined Nintendo, they weren't really at the top of the world anymore.
Yeah.
You know? They were post N64. Things were sort of looking
grim.
Yeah. No, I mean, we annualize the conversation where we say, this is it for Nintendo. They're going out of business. They're going third party. Mario's coming to Xbox. Never happens. Probably never will happen. But that was a pretty dark time specifically. Sure. I remember people being like, third parties going away, system sales are down, PlayStation's here, they're crushing it, Xbox just showed up. And then Reggie came in around the GameCube era and like really turned things around.
Yeah, I wonder if this is not his move to sort of position himself as kind of like the Lee Iacocca of the video games industry, and that like he's a fixer, you know, like if I think the biggest story would be if GameStop, I do that all the time. If GameStop turned it around in the next, year to 2 years, I think the story would be like, oh, Reggie did it. Like he came in there and like whipped them into shape and got, their business up and running again. And
right now, GameStop is already kind of experimenting with a few different models in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We have a whole story about that. And I think Matt Kim wrote an article about how GameStop is trying to save themselves with these experimental shops. They have 4 different models right now. They have GameStop 2.0, which is like GameStop, but better and adds new community spaces. GameStop Social, which is all about community spaces, has a ton of different gaming bays and co-op setups. And then they also have GameStop Retro, which is designed to collect the best library of old pre-owned games and also has setups for retro games with like old TVs and arcade systems. And lastly, there's GameStop Pop, which will have a lot of like pop culture merchandise, like stuffed animals and cards
and t-shirts and
all of that stuff. Are any of these good ideas?
Well, okay, I'll be the one to say this. They were maybe, but not this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Now it's a totally different story.
This is a really tough year to launch a bunch of sort of experiential social places and revitalize your brand by bringing people
together
in a small space together to hold things and share them. So that's an uphill battle. There's also the reality that I think a lot of people in general are going to be doing a lot less brick and mortar shopping because of this. You'll see online sales go up even more than they already were. GameStop's big Hail Mary for 2020 is brand new consoles coming out. And as of right now, it seems like that'll be business as usual, hopefully. But with a lot of the parts of those manufacturing pipelines happening in places that are specifically impacted by this virus, I wouldn't rule out the possibility of either new consoles being delayed or being supply constrained considerably. And so... yeah, this is a really tough year for this to be happening.
It was even tough before this. I mean, arcades were being shut down left and right. Those kind of spaces were not doing well. And GameStop was trying to redo it. And also, I don't know if they would be renting out these spaces to people who want to come in, or they just let it open to be free. Because I don't know. I used to work at a GameStop, and one of the bane of my existence while working there was parents treating GameStop as a daycare and just dropping their kids off.
Yeah, just kids coming and just playing Wii U for however long.
And I mean, if they stayed on the system and just sat there and were quiet and did it, I did not bother them. But some of them would go around and just wreck things, like hang out around on the gondolas, like take piles of games and put them on the floor and leave them there.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, how does that work? Like a bunch of, I don't know, like stoned 22-year-old kids show up, and then also like there's a 6-year-old kid who wants to play Smash Brothers. Do they all just hang out?
Yeah.
Like, how does that work?
They did in the article Matt did. They were discussing like maybe they would do for kids parties. They would rent it out, and then after a certain time in the day, they would make it 18, like 16 or up, or just have a different age groups based on time of days. But there's a lot of experimenting to go. But yeah, I don't know how this would work. I would have loved the idea of these when I was a kid, because I spent so much time. Like as a teenager, I spent a lot of time just wandering parking lots in front of movie theaters because I had nothing better to do. And I would have just gone to GameStop, but also I probably wouldn't have bought anything. Right. So I don't know.
Same. I mean, that's the thing. It's like I'll say that like I'm happy that they're trying something because there's a lot of companies like say Sears that did literally nothing. Yeah. Right. And they just were like, oh, it'll be fine. And it wasn't. Right?
I still get emails from them occasionally where it's like, here's $10, please buy something.
How? That's like getting emails from a ghost.
I just don't unsubscribe from anything. I get emails from all of the things.
I'm glad that they're trying something. I just don't really see like kids coming in and buying like bags of chips and like Mountain Dews and paying $5 to play Smash Brothers for an hour or a fortnight, saving the brand. I mean, the hope is that when you're in the store, you'll spend a bunch of money on stuff, but like I just don't really see that happening. Like the thing is, like I've shot in a lot of like indie game stores, retro game stores all over the world for the travel show we do, Fast Travel. And the running theme that a lot of them have is that they provide a service that doesn't exist anywhere else in the community, but also they do have nights and weekends and afternoons where they invite people in for tournaments and stuff like that. And those work twofold with each other. I think that like if the store was like a little bit of a retro store mixed with a little bit of like a community tournament thing, there's room for something like that there. But the issue here, and I know you guys all know this, is that most GameStops are considerably small. They're, the size of a walk-in closet. They're at a mall, they're the size of like a hot dog cart basically. And you go in and you're like, what am I supposed to do in here? Like, how do you?
I guess they are reorganizing things to make it seem like a bigger space and are making their more social focused stores to be bigger as a whole. But yeah, I guess we'll just have to see if they actually
see what Reggie has to say about it.
Yeah, if they'll expand any of these out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I'm not going to lie, I have playing in store demos have had me pre-order games on the spot.
Same.
Like Shadow of the Colossus, I played that demo in a GameStop and then I pre-ordered it and it became one of my favorite games. But now I could just download the demo at home.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You can play in your sweatpants then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Don't have to leave the house.
Oh, don't worry. You can definitely still go to GameStop in your sweatpants, my friend.
You can.
Touche.
Well,
that's a big thing there.
That's kind of the biggest news this week. We can talk about everything else next week because none of it is coming out anyway. So anyway, new games out this week. There isn't a ton of this either, but I did want to point out this game called Trancelation. It comes out on the 13th for only $6.99, and it's a language learning game. But if you look at videos of it, you're kind of playing a glowing dot, and they will flash a word on the screen for you, like party. And then if you're trying to learn Spanish, they will show you other words that come up on the screen. But there's kind of obstacles in the way, and you have to like race the clock to get to the correct one.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a gamified flashcard game.
Neat.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, might be interesting. I don't know. The music was kind of hype. And if you buy it now, you'll get 4 games for free, including Freecell Solitaire DX, Pizza Bar Tycoon, 2038... Pizza Bar Tycoon.
I'm in.
Well, there you go. You also get 2038 battles and Flowlines versus. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting for anyone trying to learn a language in school right now. It might be something interesting to pick up. Also coming out this week is My Hero One's Justice 2, which is a fighting game based around the anime My Hero Academia. It comes out on the 13th for $60. The original scored a 7 in 2018. I played it a little bit. It was fun.
Oh, yeah.
It also spoiled a huge plot twist because I was watching the anime and not reading the manga. And the anime wasn't caught up yet to the game, and I was very upset.
That's a bummer.
And then I had to contain it inside and not tell any of my friends for like 6 months and be like, that's the thing that got spoiled for me as soon as
that sucks.
But it's fine. We've also got Yoga Master out on the 13th for $24.99. There's a launch sale for $19.99, and it uses the Joy-Con for 150 yoga poses. Sweet. I'm kind of interested in this. Not gonna lie. We'll see.
How many yoga poses can you name?
I don't know, like 6.
That's great. I think I can probably do 2.
Do it.
Sun salutation.
Yeah, a downward
dog.
That's
the biggest one.
Happy baby.
Child pose.
Chair pose.
Cartwheel.
Hot watermelon.
Yeah.
Hot banana.
Reaching for the top shelf.
Those are all perfect yoga poses. Try them today. at your own risk. Half Past Fate is out on the 12th for $19.99. Also has a launch sale of $15.99, and this is a rom-com adventure game.
Rom-com adventure. I like the sound of that. That's fun.
3D pixel art style, and the story jumps between an 8-year period and tells the story of 6 different people. Interesting.
Are we? Just sorry. One quick note.
Uh-huh.
Are we skipping this?
I mean, we can go back. We can go back, Zach.
Okay.
You want to talk about it? Famitsu has released its review of Animal Crossing New Horizons. I thought this might turn into a 30-minute long discussion, which is why I was skipping 8. But
I mean,
let's go back.
There's not really a ton that we have to say about this yet, but yeah.
But it got a 30 out of 40. 2 reviewers gave it a 9, and the other 2 gave it a 10. So Famitsu really, really liked this game.
Sounds like it's a good Animal Crossing.
It did get 1 point less than the previous Animal Crossing New Leaf.
Well.
And I believe 2 points less than Nintendo Dogs.
So it's a terrible game. Just the worst. I'm kidding. It's not. I wouldn't know. I'm trusting Famitsu.
Do you do that thing at restaurants where like you eat all the food and the waiter comes and you're like, we hated it?
Yeah.
I never do that. I hate it.
That's what that sounded like.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We certainly didn't like that.
It was the worst. No,
It was disgusting.
my dad actually does that every time. I'm just like, Dad, like, come
That's
on.
such a dad move. That's
Yeah.
that's such tremendous
daddest.
dad energy. Yeah.
I guess I'll go over this too just real quick. The Legend of Zelda Hyrule Historia is getting a digital release on April 14th for $24.99 on Kindle. That was a really awesome physical book that tried to make Zelda into a timeline and do a bunch of other things.
Yeah, for a long time it was like the authority on the Zelda timeline. I think Hyrule Historia is so cool. I own all those big dumb Zelda art books.
Me too.
I think Hyrule Historia is so awesome. It's weird to me that it would be in a digital format because like I want to read. I want to hold that big book.
Yeah.
But, it's like probably $15 to $20 cheaper this way, so that's
What's
cool.
the most recent one they did that had the special edition and like
The
big
gold?
NES?
Yeah, I have
that
that
book
one
is
too.
so good.
Yeah,
it has
book
tons
rules.
of concept art from like the NES Zeldas that like is rarely republished in that format. Yeah, I love it.
It's a good time. So where are you guys playing this week?
I'm still playing Mega Man Zero, the toughest game of all time.
Tougher than Dark Souls and Bloodborne?
God, that game is hard. Yeah. I mean, not tougher, just harder in a different way because like I was talking to Max Scoville about this a little bit, but like those Mega Man games, essentially when you get to those difficult boss fights and stuff, it becomes a rhythm game, where you're like, okay, I have to remember the rhythm and the pattern and how to like dodge. But like Mega Man Zero does a weird thing that I've not seen in other Mega Man games where some of that stuff is so erratic and unpredictable that like I spent over an hour fighting one boss last weekend and was like furious over it. But in the same vein, like when I did beat that boss, I was filled with like so much elation that it was like, great, now on to the next level. Like I love Mega Man games and I missed all of the Zero games. So like I'm stoked to be playing this one that's so different because it's a combination of hack and slash and traditional Mega Man shooting, and then you also have all these fun power-ups you can use. It's a really cool series and I highly recommend it.
What about you, Brian?
I have been playing this game called Kunai.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Kunai.
Yeah.
Did you guys check that out?
No, but I've heard a lot about it.
At first,
Really cool art style.
Yeah. At first, I was like, I don't know if I'd be into this because it's sort of like a comical Metroidvania where the protagonist has an iPad for a face, and I was like, okay, that sounds like not something I'd be really into. But then it totally kicks ass.
Yeah,
it's really, really good. It's a really solid Metroidvania. You can switch your costume out pretty quickly in the game. You unlock new powers. The art style is really good. Player movement's really good. Look into it. Kunai, Kunai. Yeah, whatever we did there.
Yeah. Tom played this and talked about it on the show a few weeks ago, and he really liked it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very cool game.
Man, I was really hoping to have Pear or Justin on today to talk about Murder by Numbers with me, but they're not. I already talked about this last week. I'm still playing Murder by Numbers. Man, this thing gets hard. Picross can be hard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually never. I realize I haven't played Picross in like 13 years.
Whoa.
So
Yeah.
I
That part of your
completely
brain's a
forgot.
little rusty, huh?
It's just done, and I get the basic strategy, but sometimes I'm looking at a grid and all of the numbers are under 4.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do I figure this out? And I am unsure, and I want tips. I need tips.
That stuff breaks my brain.
Yeah.
Like I'll be in like I've played all the Picross games. I really love them, especially the ones on Switch, Picross 1, 2, and 3. And then I'll get to a certain point about halfway through all the puzzles where I'm like, I'm an idiot. Like I lost the player language here. It's gone to me.
Yeah.
But Justin and Pear specifically play those games with like no hints and like no errors, whatever you can do to modify it to make it as hard as possible. That's what they do. And I always play like a big baby. So
I feel like at this point, like I saw Matt Kim tweet this, and I was like, that's also me. But it's like I don't know how to play Picross, and at this point, like, it's too late to ask. Like, I really want to play Murder by Numbers because I hear it's very fun, but I'm also very intimidated by the number crunching.
Murder by Numbers did give you a really great tutorial teaching you the basics of how to figure these out.
Cool.
It's just, so you have a grid of, say, like 10, and then 7 blocks have to be filled in, and they have to be touching each other.
Okay.
So you kind of know, like, 7, there's only so many places 7 can fit, so you know at least 4 blocks in that grid in the center have to be filled in.
Okay.
yeah.
So then you go by line doing that. So I do that, and you basically go down from biggest numbers to smallest numbers.
Yeah.
But when there are no rows or columns that have a big enough number to guarantee at least one square needs to be filled in, that's kind of where my brain breaks.
Yeah, it's like taking the first step, right? And it's like, oh great, well that's intimidating and terrifying. But I think it's really cathartic once you start chipping away at those puzzles because you feel really good. But it does the opposite thing where you feel like a total idiot when you can't get it. But yeah,
I just got to get better.
I'll say that like all of the Picross games.
What else can you do?
All the Picross games on Switch, for the most part, do a really good job of tutorializing early on. So they'll teach you the rules pretty quickly, and they're regularly fairly cheap. I think you dig it. Like it's like a really kind of soothing way to wind down at the end of a very crazy day. Is to just kind of sit there and tap on your screen and draw little squares.
If only there was another soothing wind down game that was coming out soon that I could invest time.
Haven't heard of one.
Guys, that game's already out. It's called Rune Factory 4 Special.
You know that one.
It's okay.
Never heard of it.
Still playing that one too. Still playing Smite. I have too many games I want to play right now. But on to question block.
Yeah, question block.
This one is from Pete from Melbourne. And he says, hi, NVC crew. Quick question.
Hello.
Although Nintendo's production of Amiibo seems to have slowed down to a crawl, which Nintendo character would you most love to see Amiiboized if you could make it happen? Kraid, Samurai Goro, something else?
Oh man, yeah, F-Zero amiibo would have been really cool. I'd rather they do Hot Wheels though. Yeah, what lines haven't they done? Like what they did I mean, pretty much everyone got accounted for in Smash. And
We've had like some third-party amiibo support, right? Like, have they made third-party amiibo characters?
There's a couple like Shovel Knight
Bayonetta.
first. Bayonetta, yeah.
Oh, they got
Simon Belmont.
Someone from they got a Dark Souls amiibo.
Yeah, there's a Dark Souls.
Oh, that's right.
Amiibo.
There's
There's a
Dark
Diablo
Souls
amiibo.
Okay, so in that vein, I would like a Geralt amiibo from The Witcher.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, he is on the Switch now.
Yeah.
Oh, Doom Guy. And then we can have Doom Guy and Isabella stand next to each
that's
other.
a
It'll
good
be very
idea.
cute.
Yeah, very good.
I wish we had gotten a 2D Super Mario line, whether that was pixel art or Paper Mario style. If you look at the Game & Watch amiibo, like that one, how it like looks,
How it looks flat.
yeah, it looks paper thin. Like a whole Paper Mario line like that would have been really cool. Man, yeah, and they've really only done a fraction of Pokemon if you think about it.
Yeah. I mean, we can't expect them to do all the Pokemon.
No,
I mean,
you can't even expect them to put all the Pokemon in Pokemon.
Like, I love Pokemon, and I still haven't even. Brian,
I'm sorry.
Don't remind Mareep.
I'm not.
The dark times.
I'm not sure that thing can hear.
Look at these huge ears. Of course she can hear you. Gosh.
I think those are earmuffs.
Horns.
Specifically designed
Whatever,
to block
Brian.
sound.
Listening
Don't
horns.
be bully. Don't
Those-
bully the big sheep.
Those are noise canceling horns.
Oh boy. All right.
Yeah, those are our answers, I believe.
Yes. This next question is from Ryan Deaver. He says, hey, NBC crew, love the show. I love the 3DS, and it is clearly on the way out, if not already. But do you think they'll release a special Encore system like they did with the GBA Micro? I love my GBA Micro and would love the same treatment for 3DS, more luxurious feel with metal buttons and whatnot. What are your thoughts?
Oh, man.
I think there's room for like a legacy 3DS that is akin to this. Like, I don't know if it's financially something Nintendo would invest in at this point. That the Game Boy Micro was in such limited release and it's like so hard to find and incredibly expensive now. I don't know if it would make a lot of sense for Nintendo business-wise to put out a 3DS in the same vein. Like I could see them doing maybe a DS because that was much more popular.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Doing I
have the craziest itch on my nose right now. Jesus Christ.
Don't touch your face.
I know. I'm trying so hard not to touch my face.
Doesn't it suck?
It's terrible.
Everything is terrible.
The worst thing, the most thing that I've learned out of this whole coronavirus situation is that I constantly touch my face all the time.
Yep. All the time. You gotta hold.
Anyway.
You gotta get hand sanitizer just in your pocket. Every time you want to touch your face, just hand sanitize.
I was on the bus yesterday.
Grease
and
it
I was
up.
Like, yeah, it's horrible. I would kill for a clamshell Game Boy Micro that had 2 screens.
That'd be good.
Like just like a tiny little baby
guy?
that like was essentially a 3DS.
Yeah.
Because the 3DS has like, we've talked about this before. It has like probably the best lineup of Zelda games in a single place.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites of all time. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I don't really see it happening to echo what Zach's saying. Like the Micro wasn't really like a huge success for them. And they probably waited a little too long for it. We've also had so many different DSs and 2DSs and 3DSs and XLs.
Maybe if they do it for Christmas time this year, people might be interested in it.
Yeah.
But
Can we do Justin's question next?
Yes.
Sweet.
From Justin Belinsky, Splatoon revolutionized the shooter genre with a Nintendo twist. What would a Nintendo-fied Souls-like look like? Breath of the Wild doesn't count, in my opinion.
So saying Breath of the Wild doesn't count is like such a harsh move in this regard because Master Mode is so unbelievably hard.
Yeah.
Like the Master Sword Trials on Master Mode is unbelievably hard. I don't know. I think when Breath of the Wild first came out, we talked a lot about how Soulsy it was almost.
Yeah.
Just in terms of like, hey, I have never played a Zelda game where I died 6 times in the first, few hours.
Yep.
In terms of what other Souls type games, I think Metroid would be the one. Yeah.
That's the
Metroid
one.
would be the one. Just make a tough as hell Metroid game.
Yep.
I think that'd be really, really cool.
Make it first or third person open world-ish where Samus is basically bounty hunting all over all these like insane environments. And
Yeah, you were playing Remnant from the Ashes. And that's like an interesting game because it's a Souls-like shooter.
Yeah.
Which we don't get a ton of. Like most Souls-like games are sword and board. Yeah. And so like I really like the idea of a Metroid game in the same vein as like Remnant.
Yep, especially if like the game starts off and there's a couple of like low-level enemies over here, but to the left there's Kraid, and you can go fight him immediately and die immediately, but you're like, oh wow, that's an option. Like that's what I love about those games the most. I always think about like that first street on Bloodborne where there's that guy with the axe off to the side. And, like you can go down there and get your butt kicked if you want, or you're better off just going
to the right. And
I started playing Bloodborne too. That's the thing. I'm playing too many games.
Everyone's playing that game now, and it makes me so happy.
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day, but like Bloodborne is one of those games like Breath of the Wild where there are so many portions of that game that I can like almost close my eyes and navigate because I've played it those portions so many times. Oh, so love it. It's great stuff.
Yeah.
Good question too, Justin. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Next question. We already talked about Lego. Here, this one is from Mark Carabin. He says, Nintendo always has fun crossover items in Animal Crossing games like Master Sword, Metroid, etc. What items would you like to see in New Horizons? Personally, I want Isabelle to give us Doom Guy helmet and say her best friend wanted me to have it.
I want Chain Chomp like in Link's Awakening that you can put out in front of your house and
to
just,
protect
like barks
it.
at people running by.
That's such a good idea.
Just a Chain Chomp.
Especially because you can put stuff outside now.
Yeah.
I've always wanted, I know we'll never get like functional NES games again, but I do want for Nintendo Online subscribers to have basically an unlockable NES kiosk that boots into the NES and SNES games app that lets you play those games from your Animal Crossing house.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
But it would be so damn adorable.
Yeah, I was thinking that same thing. Like that would be such a nice addition to just be able to boot into those systems. But that's weird back-end stuff because that already boots like a game.
Yeah.
So it'd be like booting a game within a game, which is
Inception.
yeah. That'd be really difficult back-end.
They do a really good job of having like a Mario set every single time around, so I want to see that. The Zelda stuff has been like represented, but not in a major way.
I mean, since we can put stuff outside, I want a Great Deku Tree.
Yeah.
Can I have that? Just a giant.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Giant Zelda
That's
tree
a
with
great
a face?
idea. Would you still hit it with an axe?
No, he just lives. Leave him alone.
And talks?
Yeah. Well, he'll say hello sometimes.
There's always like 4 or 5 different types of blocks from Mario, and a pipe, and the fire bar and all that kind of stuff. Even Mario Kart items. But for Zelda, we usually only just get like, there's a Triforce that like if you interact with, it animates like the Link to the Past at the beginning intro, and also a Master Sword and some pots. But yeah, I want more and more Zelda stuff, more and more Metroid stuff. Yeah,
Ooh, I would love the pots. Pots everywhere.
We should do Dave's question. One last question.
Yeah.
I think I
David
know we're almost
Opinko?
at time, yeah, but
Okay.
this is a good question too.
All right. From David Opinko, which game on Switch have you put the most hours into and why? Mine is Super Mario Odyssey because it controls better than probably any other game I've played.
Oh man.
I mean, so mine used to be Breath of the Wild, and then Slay the Spire.
Slay the Spire. I was gonna say
surpassed it.
yours has to be Slay the Spire. Yeah.
I've played more than 150 hours in that game now.
Why?
I've told you guys why I love Slay the Spire so many times now. I know everyone is so sick of me talking about it.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Now I'm just waiting for the new 4th character to come out, and then I will throw myself back into it.
It's definitely Breath of the Wild for me. Fortnite, weirdly, I put a lot of hours in that on Switch. Link's Awakening, I think I played through that game 3 or 4 times because I was helping you guys with the guide.
Yeah.
So I played, like, when I look at my stats, I'm like, whoa, what happened there? Like, that's a 12-hour
Yeah,
game.
it's a
Guide
shorter
work does
game,
to you.
Yeah. But I imagine, ask me again in 10 days or whatever when Animal Crossing comes out, because I think that's going to be the one. I can see myself.
It'll give Breath of the Wild a run for its money for
Yeah.
sure. Mine is also Breath of the Wild by like a insane margin. Like I think I have well over 400 hours in that
Oh my
game across
goodness.
multiple accounts. I've played it multiple times in master mode and normal modes. It's like sometimes I'll do a run where I just do the Divine Beast and go straight for Ganon. Sometimes I'll really take my time and do all the trials and like really like search for stuff. It's the best game ever made. Like it's the best game ever made, and that's why I've sunk so many hours.
I'm sure you'll be saying that until Breath of the Wild 2 comes out.
Zach and I played
Link
that game together.
Yeah.
It wasn't even on either of our accounts.
Yeah.
Right? On like a work Switch.
I didn't
Yeah,
even
that's
think
what I
about
mean.
that.
It's like,
Yeah.
I have
there's
that
another
was probably
60
I was going to say
hours
60
in
hours. That was probably another 60 hours. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that is about all the time we have left. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you for joining me here
thank
with
you.
Big Sheep and Reap. Thank you, Logan Plant, for helping as always, and Tayo, our producer, and all of you at home tuning in and listening to us talk about things like sheep and why Breath of the Wild is the best game ever again for like
Yet
the
again.
15th time.
For the 300th consecutive week.
Yep. But it's fine because it's true. So why not talk about it? And remember, you can tune into NVC on your favorite podcasting platform every Thursday at 3 p.m. And remember, this is the only place you can.
Get the
Get
sheep.
the thing. The sheep. What?